Trump claims to have absolute power. President Obama endorses Joe Biden. And Florida deems the WWE essential business amid the coronavirus pandemic. Today on The Diamond K Show. We're pleased to have you with us. Episode 417 of The Diamond K Show. Of course, I go by the name Diamond K. Thank you for joining me. Now, Radio on Fire provides the best in breaking news, entertainment, and political stories that matter to you from an independent point of view. President Trump sparked a lot of backlash with his claims of total power to reopen the country. The president says that he has this total authority to decide when and how parts of the country shuttered by the coronavirus are supposed to reopen. Of course, we know he initially wanted things to have started back up on Easter. Now he's talking about May the 1st. In a press briefing yesterday, a very angry, bizarre press briefing. He said that he has the authority to force governors who have been issuing stay-at-home orders to reopen schools and businesses and other institutions in their states. That's what he said. But of course, Democrats and even Republican lawmakers fired back, saying that, Trump, under the Constitution, does not have unlimited powers. They also warned against overreaching. If President Obama said that he had total authority, Republicans' heads would have exploded. They always talked about President Obama was overreaching, or he was doing too much, or doing something that was unconstitutional. So it is interesting that President Trump is even going down this road. Even going down this road. Powers are not unlimited. He's not a king. Maybe he didn't know that. But Trump frequently goes back and forth, tries to play both sides in the middle. He tries to, on one hand, say that, it's up to the governors. Federal government's not going to do anything. He wants to kind of, shirk his responsibility. Then on the other hand, he wants to say that he has total power. So this is going to be very interesting. The state governments and the federal government have often, disagreed on different things. But just because the federal government and the state government are disagreeing, Trump wants to use that as leverage over the states. I need to remind the president that these are the same states that you're going to need during your reelection campaign. Of course, he's eager to get the country open back up. He announced a panel that is going to be tasked with determining the criteria for lifting the coronavirus restrictions. On this new committee, surprisingly, not surprisingly, are family members of the president. Ivanka Trump, her husband Jared Kushner. There are no healthcare professionals on this. This is deemed the task force to reopen America. But we also have to keep in mind that the health and the well-being of the American people is paramount. Reporters challenged the president after he played some video that tried to show him as having acted perfectly, and the media had it wrong. The president said he could go on and on, but about how he handled this right, but I didn't want to take up too much time. But in a very interesting fashion, true journalist questioned the president about what he did in the month of February He often talks about closing the borders, even though the borders weren't really closed. There were so many restrictions with how he closed the borders that is how the COVID-19 virus spread around this country so rapidly.
That time that you bought, the argument is that you bought yourself some time and you didn't use it to prepare hospitals, you didn't use it to ramp up testing. Right now, nearly 20 million people are unemployed.
It's so disgraceful the way you say that. Let me just, listen, I just went over it.
COVID-19, the virus is infected this country like a virus would infect your computer after you were online watching porn without any antivirus software. It's how deeply embedded this virus is in this country. And because President Trump did not act swiftly and decisively, and there were so many backdoor angles where people could come into this country was not safe in January when he allegedly, supposedly overblows his travel ban or his ban with China. This journalist asked Trump and pushed back about what he did in February. Trump did not have any answers for her whatsoever.
To make people
I just went over
in an unprecedented crisis.
Nobody thought we should do it. And when I did it...
But what did you do with the time that you bought?
You know
the
we
month
did?
Of February. That
we did?
Was a gap.
What do you do?
Month of February.
What do you do when you have no case in the whole United States?
You had cases
when
in February.
Excuse me, you reported it. 0 cases, 0 deaths on January 17th.
February, the entire
January. I said in January.
Your video has a complete gap.
On January 30th.
What did your administration do in February with the time that your travel ban bought?
A lot. And in fact, we'll give you a list. What we did, in fact, part of it was up there.
Trump is going to have to answer for his lack of action with regards to the coronavirus pandemic. I hope that Americans remember this November the 3rd. That's when they'll have the opportunity to really let their voices be heard. It is absolutely categorically not true that a president has complete and unchecked authority to override a state's decision. He does not have that. President Trump has gone off the rails, and he's been off the rails. But the longer he's president, the longer he's been in office, the more visible his mental state is to the people. You listen to the John McKay Show here on Radio on Fire. Take a quick break, and we'll be back after this. Welcome back to the program. There's never a perfect way to do anything. So, after all other options have been eliminated, former President Barack Obama endorsed his former Vice President, Joe Biden.
I'm so proud to endorse Joe Biden for President of the United States. Choosing Joe to be my Vice President was one of the best decisions I ever made, and he became a close friend. And I believe Joe has all the qualities we need in a president right now. He's someone whose own life has taught him how to persevere, how to bounce back when you've been knocked down.
Honestly, I wish that the president had taken a stand and endorsed Joe Biden sooner. Let me tell you why. I know that he's running a risk with putting his thumbs on the scale, or running a risk that whoever he endorsed did not actually win. But in the age of Trump, we need decisive action. I think that if some Democrats had their feathers ruffled because President Obama endorsed Joe Biden early, then so be it. There's no surprise that he endorsed him. We knew that this was going to happen. President Obama said this: choosing Joe to be my vice president was one of the best decisions I ever made, and he has become a close friend. I believe Joe has all the qualities we need in a president right now. This is coming from the 44th president of the United States, still popular, President Barack Obama. This long-anticipated endorsement comes a day after Bernie Sanders made his own endorsement, and I guess 5 days after he dropped out of the race. Throughout the primary, Obama remained neutral, and I understand the political need to do that. And he offered private advice to any candidate who sought it. Anybody that wanted to talk to him, he did that. And I see that, but it's just the fact that he's just so political sometimes causes people to get upset. I mean, I think that, Bernie Sanders, I've got to be honest, Bernie Sanders would not have been electable. Now, I know that people are going to say that I said Trump was unelectable. Trump should not have been elected, but Bernie Sanders would not be elected. Bernie Sanders would not play the games that would need to be played in order to be president. He would not have done that. Let's say that Bernie Sanders was a former president, like President Obama is. He would have not maintained his neutral stance just to seem neutral. He would have just made a move. Shit, I would have made a move too. Okay. But the endorsements, 2 big endorsements for Joe Biden, come as a welcome relief to the Biden campaign. He's now on a very important quest to unify the Democratic Party, something that Hillary Clinton was unable to do. And also for several reasons, but one reason being the fact that Bernie Sanders did not seem to be all in for support. Their campaign got very ugly. In addition to the fact that Hillary Clinton, who started out very progressive, actually became establishment, and the progressive wing of the Democratic Party loathes establishment. Loathes that. So many people now are going to, and I've seen people do it online, try to blame President Obama or blame other Democrats who dropped out of the race before Bernie Sanders as the cause of his defeat. He was defeated and lost this second attempt to become president because he ran a better campaign in 2016 than he did in 2020. And ultimately, to become president, a lot of things are needed, and I just don't think that Bernie Sanders was the right one for the job. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at The Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. So, I don't even know how to describe this next story other than to just dive into it. A Virginia pastor who defiantly held church service amid the COVID-19 pandemic got an end of biblical proportions. He was happy to be controversial. He was happy to be in violation of safety protocols and had, as he said, way more than 10 people at his church. He vowed to keep that church open unless he was in jail or in the hospital. He said, "I'm essential." And added that he was a preacher. He talks to God. On Easter Sunday, his church said with an exceedingly sorrowful and heavy heart, they announced that the pastor had died a week after being diagnosed with the COVID-19 virus. His wife is ill. She has COVID-19. Church members offered prayers and their thoughts. The daughter, she said that her father initially dismissed his symptoms because he has a condition that often led to fevers and infections. Now, she was telling everybody to stay home. It's become very real. It's hit her close to home. Father is gone and mother is sick from this coronavirus that they claimed was no big deal. In Virginia, she talked about, this is the daughter talking about her parents' diagnosis. She begs people to understand the severity and seriousness of this. It's not just about us. It's about everyone around us. And I really encourage religious leaders to understand this. A virus knows no bounds. It doesn't respect any borders, doesn't respect any religions. It doesn't respect any places of worship, any of that. If one person in your flock has it, he or she can pass it on to many others, and it can spread throughout, right? So it's unfortunate that this pastor, Bishop Gerald Glenn, the New Deliverance Evangelistic Church, had to pass away in this fashion. Finally, when you think of essential businesses, you think of food, medicine, you think of things like that, things that people need. Walmart would be considered that, Target, places like that. But Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has deemed the WWE, the pro wrestling company WWE, as essential, even amid the coronavirus pandemic. Most Florida businesses have been ordered to shut down to prevent the spread of this virus. But the WWE, with its links to Donald Trump is in the WWE Hall of Fame. WWE is run by Vince McMahon. His wife, Linda McMahon, was a part of the Trump administration. She now runs a super PAC that is focused on re-electing Donald Trump. So with all of these conspicuous ties, the WWE, pro wrestling, now deemed to be essential.
WWE, which is taping their shows here in town, announced last night they had one of their, I believe it was an onstage performer, test positive. Are you aware, are they deemed an essential business, or did they get a special exemption to stay open, or are you aware of how they're able to?
I think initially there was a review that was done, and they were not initially deemed an essential business. With some conversation with the governor's office regarding the governor's order, they were deemed an essential business.
Orange County Mayor Jerry Dimmons said last night that despite Florida Governor Ron DeSantis giving the statewide shelter-in-place order earlier this month, the WWE has been given the go-ahead to resume operations amid this pandemic.
And so, therefore, they were allowed to remain open. In terms of the specifics associated with the wrestler or personality who tested positive, I don't know any of the details of that, obviously, because of HIPAA laws, etc. I don't know that, but that's like a little family, a small family of professional athletes that wrestle. And
initially, the WWE was not deemed essential business, which meant that it had to comply with the governor's shelter-in-place order. But Vince McMahon had some conversations with the DeSantis office and was granted that distinction now. I mean, I understand business moves, right? You want to do things, right? I get that. However, the most important thing is the safety of Americans. And while I am a pro wrestling fan, I have often criticized Vince McMahon and some of his methods and actions. And it does not seem like he's valuing the health and safety of his wrestlers and his production team. A member of the WWE staff at least one member has coronavirus, is sick. But they've had these conversations, and Trump has a close relationship with DeSantis and with the McMahon family. And a memo from the DeSantis office dated April the 9th said that essential workers in Florida included, check this out, employees at a professional sports league and media production with a national audience, including athletes, entertainers, production team, executive team, media team, and any others necessary to facilitate, including services supporting, such as production, only if the location is closed to the general public. So yesterday they resumed shows from their broadcast facility. It is not open to the public, only to the staff and the athletes. A memo dated the same day said that McMahon's pro-Trump super PAC announced a $26.6 million investment in TV ads and buys set to run in this fall in the battleground states of Florida and North Carolina to help elect President Trump. So the WWE is deemed essential. WWE is deemed essential. Even during these times, even as the company is moving forward with this production, as I said, a wrestler has already tested positive for COVID-19. They say that, this is WWE, said in a statement that we believe that this matter is low risk to the WWE talent and staff, as the individual and a roommate became symptomatic in the days following exposure. Two people working in acute health care on the evening of March the 26th, after WWE's TV production closed and the set was already complete. The company said that those two individuals have made a complete recovery. So the company faced criticism for holding wrestling events during this pandemic, even while doing so in an empty arena, because you still are exposing the production crew and the wrestlers. It's hard. It's very hard to argue that pro wrestling is essential activity. Doesn't pass the smell test. Doesn't make sense. But then when you look at all of the corruption between the WWE and President Trump, a acolyte, a follower like Governor Ron DeSantis, there's no surprise there, right? Radio on Fire provides the best in breaking news, entertainment, sports, and political stories that matter to you from an independent point of view. To get all show archives and other exclusive content, become a member today. RadioOnFire.com/join. Radio on Fire gives you original reporting and trusted news and content with perspective that you won't find anywhere else. These are fascinating times that we live in. And whether it's politics, social issues, entertainment, or breaking news, I'm going to give it to you, give you my thoughts and my views on that, honestly. Because, let's be honest, mainstream media tends to spin stories. Whether they have all the facts or not, they're going to give you things that are in their best interests. Here at Radio on Fire, I'm going to give you the facts and give you the truth. Join me daily as I break these things down. You can hear the program on Spotify, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, Libsyn, Facebook. Just search The Diamond K Show or subscribe to us on YouTube.com/The DJ Diamond K. See you tomorrow.